morning. Happy Thursday.
Yes, it's our Thursday tea party.
Happy tea party.
Happy birthday, Lexi.
Happy birthday, Lex.
Yes.
Big 1-5.
Yes. So, Lexi's my daughter. It's her birthday today.
And I know you're watching, Lex.
Yes.
Right?
When I force you to watch this later on, you'll be happy that I make this shout out to you. So we're kind of we're really out of sorts this morning.
Yes.
I think that's a good way to just start it off.
We're out of sorts. It's the end of the school year.
Yes. Yeah.
So
there's a lot going on. Just trying to get it all in. Schedules start to change. You start to
routines get
jumbled up.
Yes. And that's tough.
Yes.
And we had already decided that we were going to talk about time.
Mm-hmm.
Time as a value and a boundary and a standard, because you've heard us talk about that now like 2 weeks in a row. And it just became very fitting this morning.
Yes.
My whole morning was, routine was out of sorts with babysitters and online finals and, transportation, commuting. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm happy. I'm here, and I'm happy I'm in my safe place, and my day is finally getting started the way I had planned.
Yes.
But it's time, and there's.
Well, and I think setting that boundary for yourself about time, like, okay, I'm going to allow myself this time for whatever. Yes, sometimes those plans go out the window. It happens, especially for parents, because sometimes things just don't always go as planned. But you have to take a deep breath, center yourself, and say, okay, now reevaluate. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get to where I need to get to, where I need to be. Yeah, I might be 30 minutes behind schedule, but I'm still going to get there, and I'm not going to totally derail my entire day because of this hiccup that kind of starts in the morning.
Which is exactly what I had to do. I had to let Erin know. I am running behind this morning. I knew an hour ahead of schedule that I was going to be behind schedule because it had not gone as planned. And it wasn't because of my planning. It was because I have a little person in the mix who he was out of sorts because the schedule was off, and that took a little bit more time. And that's not his fault. So the only thing that I could control in those moments was me. The only thing that I could do in those moments was, like you said, take a deep breath, center and reset myself and go, this is not this little person's fault that we have to do things differently this morning. And that's difficult. I mean, that's even difficult for us as adults.
Yeah.
And we just have a different way of dealing with it because we've learned different coping mechanisms. Do I want to throw a tantrum some mornings? Hell yes.
Yeah.
And I even finally, when I centered myself and I told him what I needed to say, it was really the same thing. It was, I don't want to be doing this either. If I'm honest about this, I don't want to do this either because it's not my usual, and it's taking up more of my time and more of my energy and, more of my headspace. But it was the communication and all of that. And luckily, I can just be honest about that. And that gives me a little bit of a reprieve where I can text Erin and say, I know I'm going to be late. And then that gives her choice too. That gives her a choice to say, I know what I'm going to do in that time now.
Right.
And it probably made you a little bit at ease too, because
your
routine was...
Yeah, my routine was messed up by having to, it's finals week. Today was, Lexi's birthday obviously, but she had just half a final. And my choice.
Half a final?
Yeah, she took the other half earlier in the week and had to take the second half today. So she was going to be at school for 6.5 hours for what was going to be 40 minutes of work. So I asked her what she wanted to do, and she said, well, can you pick me up?
Using your time wisely.
Yeah. And I said, this is when I can pick you up. If this doesn't work, then I'm sorry, you have to stay at school. So that was kind of my boundary setting for her. And she texted me at 8:30 and said, can you pick me up at 9:30? And I was like, okay, I will make that happen. I was prepared that was a possibility to happen. And then I got the text from Jen, and I was like, okay, I can slow down and actually fully dry my hair before having to run out the door. And it works.
I know. And I feel like that is such, I feel like that's an important factor is when we can communicate that our time is valuable, and when we respect that in other people too. And the whole reason we got talking about this was because of an issue that we were encountering in the office. And we do respect people's time here. And that's why people normally don't have to wait for very long when they're here, because Erin is queen of knowing logistically how to make that all work. And she's honest about it. And the times where we have tried to supersede that and override that, it has thrown everything off. And when we're honest about it with other people, that we abide by a certain schedule for a reason, and that really is to serve you in a better and more efficient and effective way, then they start to take notice of that. And if they, if we, I'm going to include myself in this, if I know that I'm not respecting another person's time because I think mine is more important, that's going to come back to me in some way. That is a way that we are taken from, or that we take from another person without maybe recognizing that.
And sometimes it's just a small gesture of, if you call someone and they do pick up, and maybe you have to have a 5-10 minute conversation with them, the first thing you say is, do you have a second to talk? I mean, just that simple, because a lot of times if people call and you'll answer and then they just start talking, and it's like, oh, well, I was in the middle of something. I was trying to be polite by answering the phone, but I really don't have 20 minutes to talk. If you do have 20 minutes to talk, great. But just that simple question of, do you have some time? And then when that person responds with yes or no, there's nothing wrong with giving someone, say, a time limit, because it's your time. It is always your time, and you have the choice on how you choose to spend it and who you share that time with. So when someone does call you and says, do you have a second to talk, there's nothing wrong with saying, oh yeah, I have 15 minutes to talk. Then that person knows that they don't have an hour of your time to talk. So and that's not being, for lack of better word, a bitch. That's just you honoring your time and setting that boundary. And
I think that's considerate. That's considerate on both parts. So it's not that you're uncaring. It is that you are considerate of how much energy you have, to give to that, and really, if you're on another schedule, that helps the other person to make their choice too. And I think the other thing that I was thinking about with that is, we live in this era of such immediacy that people think, and I'm guilty of it too, I think sometimes too, when I text somebody, that they should text me right back. And although I know that is not truly how I feel. Sometimes I am in my own ego, and I'm in my own stuff, and I'm in my own urgency. And I think that is, somebody else should be on the same wavelength with me, and that's not true. So, I know some people dedicate specific hours of the day to answer their emails and do their responsiveness to people. And I think that's a great idea.
I agree.
I also, sure, there are some things that, your kids or your spouse or something like that requires an immediate response sometimes, and sometimes that's not a difficult thing to do. Other times people are dumping their stuff on you and want that response, and it could come in the form of a reaction, and that may not be the most kindly or mindfully meditated response. So I have just encountered that. I have encountered people who have gotten very upset with me that I do not immediately respond to something. And I've also been on the other side of it, where I've luckily had some people who have chosen to say, I have been thinking about this and I didn't want to just, text it to you. So
Right.
I emailed it to you instead, and, to give you some time to think about it. And,
or if it is something where someone's trying to get a response out of you.
Right.
To take the time and see what you truly want your response to be, because sometimes your immediate response might be upset or mad or angry or whatever the case
Full
is.
of some sort of emotion that you can't take back.
Yeah, but if you take the time to respond how you really truly feel, take that breath and say, okay, yes, this did make me initially upset, or this, or mad, but then when you take a deeper look at it, like, I understand where they're coming from, or whatever the case, so you don't just jump into that emotional reaction with someone.
Right. And
so I think the main thing is we really just wanted to say to honor your time.
Yeah,
and
that time truly is a boundary.
Yes, absolutely. And it's your choice on how you choose to use your time.
Yes. And if others can't respect that, maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had around that. Or maybe there's simply just, a cord that needs to be cut. And that's a good a good thing for us to have awareness of, is who those time vampires are in our lives. Is it ourselves? I know for me, I can say honestly, in the past, it has been me. I want to believe, I want to blame that on genetics, but nature, nurture, whatever. They say good things take time. That's why I'm always late. But no, it's a smack. It's a smack to our own egos and our own awareness if we take stock of that. And
sometimes that's just, they always, whenever you see someone who gets all these things done in one day, and you're like, oh my gosh, how do they do that? How do they get all that stuff done? And then if you really evaluate your time, like write down what you're doing every morning. I mean, let's face it, our phones are time vampires.
Yes.
Where you want to yes, check a quick text message, and 45 minutes later you're watching YouTube videos of cats. I mean, you just who knows where it takes you. But I really don't watch YouTube videos of cats. That just came in my mind.
That's funny.
But if you really evaluate your time, like what is absorbing so much of your time, and then you reevaluate, you might see that you have an extra 2 hours in a day. To read, meditate, work out, meal plan. I mean, something.
Yep.
And I think being aware of that
Yes.
is the main point that I'm trying to make.
Well, in the practice of doing it,
Mhm.
you know, that even that is like, I mean, can cause a lot of anxiety. But I know, like, when we did 75 Hard, I loved that aspect of it because it made me sit down and evaluate all that time, because I'm like, how am I going to get all this in?
Right.
And it's not that I didn't have the time, it's that I needed to reprioritize what my day was like if I really wanted to achieve this goal.
Yeah.
So that was a huge, that was a great practice
Yeah.
to, you know, to put into practice. But the time is there, and, you know, you get to decide for yourself how you want to use it.
Yes.
And that is why it's a boundary. And if you are encountering people who don't want to honor that, then maybe those are the people that were benefiting the most from taking your time and using the resource that is very limited for you, very limited for each of us. So
So use your time wisely.
use your time wisely, and use it intentionally. Get right with what is, you know, what is, you feel is sapping your time, and try to commit to yourself that, you know, there are ways that you can use that more productively. Or maybe you're being too productive and you need some time to rest. That's sometimes the case too.
Yeah.
Anyway, time is a boundary.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Nope. I think we're done.
Yeah.
Because we're honoring our time.
And yours.
And yours.
It's only so much you want to hear from us.
I know.
Somebody challenged us to do just a 2-minute clip.
Oh, God.
And holy heavens, like, I don't know. I don't even think my mind can really like that's why I can't do Twitter. I can't think in like that chunk of words or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try. If you're watching and you're the one who challenged us to that,
we're gonna do
we're
it.
gonna try.
Yes.
We're gonna try. So anyway, we still want to hear about what you guys want to talk about. That was just one thing that came up for this week, was the time factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got stuff, check in with us.
Yeah.
Respond, reply, text us, email us.
Share our video if you feel inclined to.
Yeah. Tell us where your own time crunches and sucks are. We'd love to know. Because real quick, I wanted to say one thing that helped me evaluate that was when we went to business finishing school. And one of the speakers at this in this seminar and series threw out this question, like, if somebody followed you with a video camera for 24 hours a day, what would you be the most embarrassed about that is taking your time? So that made me do some introspection. And so I think that's a great you know,
I agree.
STEM question or sentence or whatever to start off your search.
There you go.
So, and your retrieval. Anyway.
All right. Wonderful. Well, we'll see you back next Thursday.
Yes.
And have a wonderful day and a wonderful Memorial Day.
Yes. All hail. Thank you to everyone who has served and anyone who, you know, let's remember why we have Memorial Day. Is the fact there's a reason that we have this extended weekend, and let's remember why.
Yes.
So anyway,
All
we'll
right.
be back next week.
Yes. Enjoy. Have a good one.
Have a great day, y'all.
Bye.
Bye bye.